Here's a collection of bits and pieces taking us into lunchtime. Johnny Mercer was being interviewed yesterday, I think, the Veterans Minister, and he initially started talking about how Lily Allen's endorsing of reform was disappointing, and conceded this was probably a sort of vote of no confidence. Therefore, she's lost the whip. Lots of whip losing at the moment. And then he talked about how his private email had been photographed. He said it was weird and creepy. And in the private email, he'd said that there was too much about Rushi Sunak. Does he disown these comments? Well, he said, he's not talking about a private email. But maybe there is too much of a presidential campaign about Rishi when Rushi Sunak is now more unpopular than Jeremy Corbyn was in the last election. No decision, apparently, has been taken about Diane Abbott, although she seems to think that a decision has been taken for her not to stand as a Labour candidate. It's rather like the sort of ghosting thing where people turn up and say, this is Keir Starmer is saying no decision has been taken. And notice he uses the passive voice. The passive voice is generally used by people who are trying to distance themselves from the reality. No decision has been taken barring her. That's the passive voice, isn't it? And it's rather like those people who say, it's your own decision. It's your decision, when you actually have no decision. This is a sort of ghosting, trying to transfer responsibility for something you don't want to do. The other story which is coming out is about Rees Mogg's cousin called Mandy Roberts, who works in a supermarket in Cleethorpes, and she wants the Conservative Party out at all cost. She says people are really struggling and the world has gone mad. And she is, it's quite complicated. Rees Mogg is her mum's brother's cousin. We don't really talk about it, she says. And meanwhile, with this sort of run of little stories, Putin has done what was expected and appointed Alexey Dyumin, his former bodyguard, the person who saved him from the bear, apparently, as Secretary of the State Council, a personal advisor to the president and his presumed successor. So things are getting ready for a change of leadership in Moscow. And at some point, I think we're going to discover that Putin, one of Putin's doppelgangers, has an accident, or the Kremlin is going to finally have to exhume the body of Putin from the Smeg fridge and disengage Mr. Putin from the Smedley frozen peas.